It's time for another double shot. The Office of Housing and Urban Development under the Biden administration put out a report that I was nerdy enough and bored enough to read.
Is this HUD?
It's HUD. It's a 100-plus page report. It's only part one. And it tells us that the 18.1% increase in homelessness across the country is due to housing affordability. You know what's missing from this entire report?
What is that?
Any mention of addiction. Nothing mentioning drug use or mental health issues.
None?
Nothing.
They don't mention it once?
I even did word searches for different
drugs.
I did substance, drugs, fentanyl. I did all drogas in case it was in the Spanish part of the bill. Nowhere.
So they just are saying
they completely ignored it.
It's completely because housing has gotten so expensive?
They say housing affordability, they say systemic racism. Oh, Jesus. And then they say migrants. That part's true, that we've had an influx of illegal immigrants, although for 3.5 years we were told that that wasn't actually happening and the border was completely secure. But now they're saying that's part of the increase. That part's true, no doubt. However, the whole idea of housing affordability, you know why you can't afford that particular apartment? It's because you're addicted to fentanyl and you're living out on the streets. And so while technically it is true that the fentanyl addicted homeless person who's been chronically homeless for 2.5 years cannot afford a home, true, not really. That's like talking about the symptom instead of the actual disease.
Do you remember a couple years ago, I think it was in 2023?
So that would be a year ago.
It's 2025, Jason. Math. A couple of years ago, Jay Inslee was touting this roadside cleanup thing that he had. Do you remember this?
Yes, I do.
They spent $149 million to try to remove people from, they call it like the roadside safety something. It was basically like, let's get homeless people out of the median.
Sides of highways.
Yeah, so they're not living like squirrels, and so they don't get hit by cars anymore. Let's get them out of there. And so they said 1,000 people, but when you actually dug into it, what they actually meant was we have relocated 816 people to temporary housing, and we have found permanent housing for 149 people. So $149 million found 149 people permanent housing. So it's like $1 million a person. But even if you gave Jay
and they're also lying.
Yes, but even if you gave them credit, you said, all right, the 1,000 people that they claim, that would still be $149,000 per person. Isn't that a lot of money to spend?
I would spend that if it actually solved the problem.
You'd spend $150,000 per homeless person.
Yeah, because in the long term, keeping them out there is going to cost us way more.
Over how many years?
Forever.
But they're not going to live out there forever. Eventually, they're going to go somewhere else,
right? Die of a fentanyl overdose, unfortunately.
The numbers are just, it's crazy. So the idea that
the numbers are crazy, and they're also cheating the system, because when they tell you permanent housing, they don't mean that person all of a sudden has been able to get a job. Is never going to be homeless again.
No. It just means that the state has paid for something.
It means the state is paying for it every single year.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not something I want. Yeah. I want someone to get into permanent housing on their own.
Who no longer needs assistance.
Temporary supportive housing totally makes sense in the short term. It can't be forever.
Cannot be forever. But so when they start making these claims that none of it is because of drugs and alcohol, that's insane.
They don't even mention it as a possibility. It's not even mentioned. It's unbelievable. And by the way,
talk about an inconvenient truth.
Local media and national media all just picking up the press release. No one who reported on it actually read it. I read it because I'm a loser. See you tomorrow.
Were you waiting for me to defend you?
No, I wasn't.
Hey, it's Jason Rantz here with Scott Rarucka from Legacy Group Capital. He's their CEO. So let's talk about someone who wants to invest in real estate. They don't quite know where to go, what to do, where to start, but they do know, obviously, that right now the market is really, really hot. So you're the place to do it. How do you help?
Yeah, so how we help is, we've been investing in the greater Seattle area for over 20 years, and we have a historical track record that we're super proud of. Double-digit returns over time with no investor losses. And if you can find somebody else out there that's done that, you should probably talk to them. And how we really do it is we're lending on real estate, and we're also acquiring real estate and building it and developing it. All those things come out of a fund that people invest into. So there's lending and there's acquisition. And then we share in profits with all of our investors on both those activities. Jason, most people can't do that on their own. They're not going to go develop properties. They're not going to go be a bank and lend money. But they can jump in with us and they can be that developer and they can be that lender. but it's underneath our umbrella with a 20-year track record that's unparalleled to anything that you'll find out there. We've been told that we're one of the best kept secrets in the Pacific Northwest.
I don't want it to be a secret. I want everyone to know just about what it is you do. The Legacy Group Capital family of funds offer short-term 90-day investments at 7%. Longer-term investments, they've averaged double-digit returns. Just go to legacyg.com.